Please welcome your MC for the evening, Mark Mitton.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2018 James Park Morton Interfaith Awards Dinner of the Interfaith Center of New York. Before we get started, I'd love to thank our prayer givers and also the talented young pianist that you might have heard as you were coming down the stairs. That is Miss Akari Tomita, and she's a 7th grader from the United Nations International School, Eunice. Where is she? Thank you, Akari. She's here in honor of one of our awardees, Amina J. Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the UN. Thank you, Akari. Again, my name is Mark Mitton, and I'm a magician, actually, and a friend of one of the awardees. I actually have many Baptist ministers and even some theologians in my family, so it's a delight to be here tonight, shepherding this evening. And to begin with, I'm going to explain why we are here, and then finally I'll explain why I'm here. In our city of 8 million people with 180 languages spoken between children and their parents in the New York public schools, where over a third of us are born outside the country, if you didn't already have the Interfaith Center of New York, then you'd have to invent it. For 21 years, the Interfaith Center of New York has been overcoming prejudice and violence with the help of grassroots immigrants, religious leaders, and civic officials. At this moment in time, that means two things. First, it means education, from providing civic leadership skills to Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, Afro-Caribbean religious leaders, or offering religious diversity training for NYPD officers, social workers, and teachers alike. Second, it means activism. That includes rapid interfaith response to hate crimes in the city, vigils and solidarity statements when religious freedom rights of our fellow New Yorkers get trampled on, and outreach and support for religious leaders offering sanctuary to our fellow New Yorkers fearing indiscriminate deportation. You'll learn more about the Interfaith Center's work later in the evening, but for now, I'd like to draw your attention to the extraordinary honorees who are receiving the award in the name of the Interfaith Center's founder, the Very Reverend James Park Morton, who with his wife Pamela Morton is here tonight, and I'm sure you'd like to welcome him. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be with you. Each year, we embody the values and we honor those who embody the values of world's great religious traditions, namely peace, justice, and a commitment to upholding human dignity. Tonight's honorees are as worthy as they come. Chris Grady and Ryan Deach, two of the extraordinary student activists from Parkland, Florida, who've inspired millions to, yes. Their advocacy for common sense gun laws, they join us tonight to represent themselves, their fellow activists, and their classmates who were so sadly killed on February 14th. In addition, we are delighted to have with us Amina J. Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, the champion of women's rights, education, and the UN's sustainable developments. So, very good. And now we come to an old friend of mine, Mary Jane Brock, and a friend of many in this room. So I met Mary Jane in 1986 as a clown. I had makeup on my face. Yes, I was all painted. Yes, exactly. You can tell. And I had a big honk horn on my backside, and I was wearing a doctor's coat. Because back in 1986, the Big Apple Circus started a program. And I first started doing events, actually right down in this area, all kinds of corporate events for Big Apple Circus. And then Paul Binder and one of the other founders, Michael Christensen, came with an idea, which was that they were going to start a group of clown care unit clowns that would go for every 3 days a week at Columbia Presbyterian. And it really changed all of our lives. It was quite extraordinary. Now that whole movement has grown into clowns performing in hospitals all over the world. And they just had a huge meeting in Vienna, and thousands of clowns were just there. But Mary Jane, that's just the start of it. Mary Jane was the friend to everyone. One of the amazing things about the circus is it really kind of without judgment brings all these people from all around the world, much like you can see around in this room, and they work together to put on a show. And Big Apple Circus had this vision that was just incredible, to transform the schools and the boroughs, and then to reach out around the country. And a person that not only was on the board of that, but also was a personal friend to everyone involved, from the lighting operators to the clowns in the hospital, was Mary Jane. She opened up her home with Charlie and welcomed people in. And everyone, when we talk about the circus, we talk about how unique her unique way of touching all of us was. And I'm sure for all of us in this room, we know that unique sense, that way that she has a way of, with her enthusiasm and care, reaching out to people. So anyway, just I want to personally say thank you for all of your incredible kindness to so many, for so many years. For 35 years, Mary Jane served as vice chair of the Big Apple Circus, admittedly her first love. That's what it says here, Charlie. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. She has served as... sorry. She served as secretary of the Board of Trustees for the Cathedral of St. John the Divine for 20 years. And this, by the way, included amazing things. You might have been to the Blessing of the Animals, the Feast of St. Francis, with elephants from the Big Apple Circus marching in the hall. Paul Winter's here? Okay. And Philippe Petit's here? Yeah, so there's many. It's a huge circus, wonderful, exciting Cathedral of St. John the Divine family. And a dedicated friend, board member, and supporter of the Interfaith Center of New York over the past 2 decades. Mary Jane served as their first board chair, and I know just how happy she is that so many of the founding board members are here. But just maybe put your hand in the air or stand up if you're a founding board member, just so we can see you. Okay, there they are, over there. Thank you very much for being here. From the circus to the cathedral to the Interfaith Center, all of these New York City institutions have been shaped by her consistency and focused attention. What do these 3 organizations have in common? Well, that's what we mentioned before. All 3 make a point to include those in need. I think in particular of the Big Apple Circus and what they did in the boroughs and what they did in the hospitals and the cathedral in so many ways, with their commitment to the creation and care of Native peoples, the Interfaith Center support for the diversity of cultures and the traditions of New York. Mary Jane has unequivocally increased each of these organizations' ability to serve and help secure their longevity. The Interfaith Center, in particular, is what it is today, a catalyst for social change because of her support and generosity. That is why it is my privilege to present the James Park Morton Interfaith Award to my friend and our friend, Mary Jane Brock.